Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Scorekeepers podcast, where we're always keeping the score. I am one of your hosts, Robert. Actually, this week, to the left of me, we got Clayton.
Howdy.
Off in parts unknown, we have YB Khalil.
Robert.
And last but not least, joining us from, do you want to be parts unknown, or you don't care about your location? You think somebody's going to come get you?
I don't think anybody's going to come get me, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, well, stats and research.
Besides, I won't be here, and if there is somebody who's going to come get me, by the time they get here, I'll be gone. So.
Okay, that's fair enough. All right, joining us remotely from somewhere out in the Midwest, we have stats and research. Brandon, say hello to the people.
How's it going, people?
Okay, so Clayton, take it away.
Okay. Well, this week was a jam-packed week in sports. A lot of things happening in college football. We're going to kick it off right with that. Utah beat USC 47-24 in the Pac-12 championship, just absolutely ruining the hopes and dreams of the USC faithful. And my boy, Lincoln Riley, I told you he wasn't ready for prime time. Give me some. High five. Thank you. Lincoln Riley out of the playoff. Caleb Williams also apparently having a significant hip injury. Hamstring. Sorry, my bad. You're right. Hamstring. A significant hamstring injury, putting his bowl game starting things in hope. But, yeah, USC lost. So, as you could tell by the rest, you heard it today. Ohio State jumped and became the number 4 overall seed. Georgia beat LSU 50-30. Nothing to talk about there. Michigan beat Purdue 43-22. Nothing to really talk about there. That game was close up until halftime, and then after halftime, it just shot out everything. Now the game in question, the controversial game, I guess you want to call it. Yeah, even though I don't think it's controversial at all. Kansas State beating TCU 31-28 in overtime. Max Duggan.
Put your hand down. They can't even see you.
So?
Max Duggan putting the team on his back. I have to give him props. He was probably the best player on championship weekend. 251 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 15 carries for 110 yards and 1 touchdown. Did you know, Khalil, that in that I guess game tying drive, he had 95 yards of rushing?
Yes.
And they only had 80 yards to go because of all the penalties and everything like that. The kid absolutely put the team on his back. Nothing else you could really say from that. But we've all discussed this, but Brandon, I wish you were at Twin Peaks so we could have this conversation, because my best friend, one of my best friends, Fed, going off the fucking rails.
Sore loser.
Wow.
Oh, he is. I know.
Was he channeled his inner Nick Saban getting on ESPN to start politicking?
Brandon,
talk about spreads. Hypothetical spreads.
You don't even know the fucking half of it, man. Telling me that Alabama was the far better team and pretty much the regular season doesn't matter. We should just go by what the media says, because obviously Bama would have gave them a better, or gave whoever what ended up being number 1, which is Georgia, a better opportunity or a better game rather than TCU. But this is going straight at Fed. Okay, and only Fed. I don't understand why we're even having this conversation when the playoffs got introduced, Brandon, 10 years ago? A decade ago, it feels like, right?
2014.
Yeah, almost a decade ago.
I think. No, 2015.
Okay.
I think 2014 was the last year of the BCS.
Got it. All right. So when they introduced the playoff, it was, the Power 5 schools. It was the Big 12, the Big 10, the SEC, the ACC. Who am I missing? The SEC. It was made for them. It just so happened last year that Cincinnati went undefeated, or they lost 1 game in 2 years. And it was like, maybe we should give Cincinnati a shot. And we saw how great that worked out. The playoff was made so that every top tier conference team could have an opportunity at the national championship. That's why they made the playoff. It just so happened that a couple of years, 2 SEC schools made it because of, the rest of the conferences not being very well. We saw that with Oklahoma State last year losing. We saw that the year before, or in 2017, when Alabama didn't have to play for their championship and they just sat at home, everyone knowing that they were going to sneak into the playoff because of the Auburn-Georgia SEC championship game. TCU won 11 games this season, 12 games this season, 12.
Put your hand down.
Alabama won 9 games this season. I don't understand why.
No, they did. They won 10.
They won 10 games this season. Whatever. I don't even understand as to why we are having this conversation. This is why we have the regular season. Okay? That's all it is. That's it. That's the end of the discussion. You lost 2 games. The other team lost 1 game, and their 1 game came in their conference championship. Meanwhile, Alabama was 4th in the SEC. Make that make sense? Tennessee, and we're not even talking about Tennessee beating Alabama because they're backup and the playoffs consider, injuries going into the equation. They were the 4th team in the SEC. Why are we even having this fucking debate?
Yeah, like what's the point of having a regular season if you're just going to do recency bias?
Exactly.
Judge it based off the last 4 games. Yes, Alabama has been a lot better in the last 4 games of the season, but that doesn't mean that you deserve to get a playoff spot just because of that. You should have beat Georgia when you had the chance. You should have beat Tennessee when you had the chance. You lost 2 games. Sorry.
LSU.
Or LSU, yeah.
Yes.
Sorry. Get over it. Oh, well.
Brandon, your thoughts on the whole debacle that was?
Well, I think if there is a debate, the debate isn't about TCU. It should be about Ohio State and Alabama. But, TCU went, they had an undefeated regular season. They played some close games. I think 5. They won 5. 1 possession games or something like that in the regular season. Come from behind wins, I think it was, in the regular season. But look, are they gonna they play Georgia? No, they play Michigan. Are they gonna beat Michigan?
Yeah.
I don't have beating Michigan. I think Michigan's gonna beat the brakes off them. But they deserve to be in there. They deserve a shot. Alabama. I'll do this from Nick Saban's argument. Nick Saban got up there to politic, started talking about his team should get in because if you put Alabama against the other teams in the equation, so Ohio State, TCU, maybe USC or Tennessee, Alabama would be favored in all those games. That was his argument. Well, I'm going to give Nick Saban, break a little news to him. Also, you Fed, I'm not sure if you knew, but in your 2 losses against LSU and Tennessee, you were also favored in those games. And you lost. So the hypothetical point spread argument, not that great. So I can't really help you there. I will admit, the only reason I kind of would have rooted for Alabama to get in there is only because I'm not really here for this 12-team playoff thing.
Neither am I.
And we're here at this point for the 12-team playoff because all the people talking about, everybody, then 4 spots isn't enough. Like, we need to give everybody a chance because it's not fair that, for example, in this case, Alabama or Tennessee or LSU gets left out of the playoff. So we need to have more teams, and they got to 12. So I honestly kind of would have liked it because it would have been kind of funny if that, for just the middle finger to those people, to have Alabama, because this is that argument is an anti-Alabama, basically. That's kind of what the expansion thing is about. So it would have been funny for Alabama to backslide in there, and if they were able to beat Georgia and probably Michigan and win the national title anyway. So I thought that would have been funny. But do they deserve it? Hell no.
Well, talking about the 12-team playoff, if I just want to give you guys some background information, if the 12-team playoff was implemented today, Kansas State and Utah, along with Michigan and Georgia, would have a first-round bye. That's two-loss teams that have a first-round bye. I'm
against a 12-team playoff, but I think it should still have been extended. Like I like my ideal would have been just somewhere between 6 or 8 teams. I think 12 is too much.
We all agreed on 8. We all sat here a year ago and said, 8's perfect.
Yeah,
8's solid.
No, 12 we've lost the plot at that point. Like you have to play for something. It can't just be we lost 3 games, but we still got a chance.
Not even that, bro. No disrespect to Tulane, but Tulane would be in the playoff facing Tennessee. I think. Do you understand how insane that is?
Yeah. I know, but it's also we doing the thing of, I know this team's going to beat this team in the playoff, and that, I mean, is it guaranteed? We're doing it.
No, you're absolutely right. Any given Saturday, you're absolutely right. I should pump the brakes.
Any other season, we could say, Alabama's going to get it done. You really think you're guaranteeing a win if they were implemented in this playoff? Are we sure about that? Because if they go out there and lay an egg and lose, then we're all going to sit here, we let them in for what reason?
I mean, somebody said yesterday that they weren't going to get past the first round anyway unless they played TCU. But they weren't going to play TCU.
That is also true. Like, are we guaranteeing they're beating Michigan? I kind of don't think so. I kind of don't think so. So
I think they beat Michigan.
You think Alabama would beat Michigan?
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Well,
I'm not like I just all Michigan, like there's not all they have, but they're primarily like the run is what you got to worry about. My question with the Alabama defense is that secondary.
Well, again, this is all hypothetical because...
And also, not for nothing, okay, Alabama doesn't make the playoff for one time in how many years?
Well, first time in the entire playoff, Clemson and Alabama will not be in the playoff.
And everybody's like having a panic attack of like, oh my God, how could they do this?
Oh, no, I lied. Yeah.
Y'all will be okay. Y'all be back next year.
Well, everyone will be back next year.
Oh, yeah, everybody.
Wait, it starts next year?
Yeah, it starts next year.
I thought it was 2 years from now.
No, 2024.
Yeah, it's 2 years from now.
2 years from now.
So we're not sure if they'll be back next year.
It is Alabama, so you know.
Roll Tide.
I just have one quick thing to say. Brandon, you're going to fucking get a kick out of this because I was talking to Khalil and Robert about it yesterday. The only main thing for me, hashtag HomerPod, the only main thing for me, I'm more upset that I have to face an Ohio State team that came off extra week's rest, sitting at home, doing absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, we had to play in the SEC championship game. And I told Khalil and I told Rob both of this that I'm going to hear it by the end of the fucking playoff because either Marvin Harrison puts up 150 yards in Kelly Ringo's head and wins, or he puts up 150 yards in Kelly Ringo's head and loses. I still believe in Kelly Ringo, but the way that he played yesterday, I don't know if you guys know this because we weren't really paying attention to the game because it got blown out. LSU had over 500 yards of passing.
Jesus Christ.
Did you realize that?
No, I did not realize that.
Over 500 yards of passing.
I mean, a lot of that had to do because they were down 3 touchdowns.
But 500 yards of passing, Brandon, is still 500 yards of passing. But
I agree with you, and that's why you looked at me crazy when I told you about your defensive backs. I told you them boys suspects.
I still like them. I just know Marvin Harrison is the far better.
I like him too.
I just know Marvin Harrison is the far better athlete. Colin tells this about me every time, or we talk about it every time. The 5-star corners, the 4-star corners, being a corner is the hardest position to play in football with the way, especially a young kid, because you don't get away with anything. Everything's defensive pass interference, holding, everything. Like, it's really hard to be a true shutdown corner in college. And I mean, we see it every given day. Kelly Ringo was a 5-star corner, and we see him not every single game, but he's gotten burned a couple times. It happens to the best of them. And now Marvin Harrison is sitting at home watching these games, being the best wide receiver in the fucking country.
Doing the Birdman.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll be honest with you. I think you're a little overselling that just because, like, it's not like y'all play next week. Y'all not playing for like a month. And then I think that, like, them not having played football and at that point it'd be what, 5-6 weeks until that game. I think that's
it's
more
three.
likely.
It's 3 weeks away on December 31st.
Okay, so 3 weeks away for you.
4 weeks
it'd
for them.
be 4 weeks for them. So, I mean, it's a little bit more rest, but both of you are getting ample rest. And like I said, you would have played football more frequently. When you're talking about extended rest like that, especially like, I mean, look, personally, the only concern I would have, and it's 3 weeks, 4 weeks rest wouldn't matter anyway, is Ohio State is probably going to be healthier because they weren't healthy at the end of the year. They lost their top 2 running backs. What's his name? Jackson Smith-Njigba was hurt. Who, like everybody, like Marvin Harrison gets like all the highlights and the hype and all that, as he should. But Jackson Smith-Njigba, like, let's not forget, like he's a dude as well. He was a dude last year with Olave and all of them, and Garrett Wilson. That boy could play as well. So I think that, in my personal opinion, is the bigger concern. Is I would anticipate Ohio State to get, and honestly, it's not even the Jigba. Like, a Jigba is going to be a problem, but the one you don't want healthy is Trayvon Henderson, and that I think would be my biggest concern if I were you. But we'll see how it goes.
We could talk more about it, as the days come. As it gets closer. But my favorite time, next week, 2 weeks, bowl week. Remember last year with all the crazy ass bowls that we had? I'm excited for bowl week. Orange Bowl, literally being orange. Tennessee versus fucking Clemson. Literally the Orange Bowl. They also called it "We Got Beat by South Carolina Bowl." Big
Hey.
But we'll talk more about college football in the coming week.
They should rename that the Beamer Bowl.
That's what everyone on Twitter was saying as well. But we'll talk more about the college football playoff as a whole in the coming weeks. Hopefully, we can give you another great pod that you guys will never hear ever again. Right. There's right. Maybe we could give you guys another like little inside pod the week before, the day before, or something like that. But we'll still give you the bowl games because the bowl games are honestly fun. But let's move on. Anything you guys want to say before playoffs? Everyone's fine with the rankings? You're good with that?
Yeah, I was on the rankings.
You're good with that?
Playoff related, I'm fine.
Playoff related? All right. We got the football, the 1 o'clock games. Steelers.
Wait, hold up.
What?
Y'all skipping over Deion?
Oh, shit. My bad. I forgot. You're absolutely right. If you haven't heard, Deion Sanders is going to Boulder, Colorado, accepting a $5 million signing deal, right, Brandon?
Yeah, $5 million a year.
$5 million a year. Okay, $5 million a year. I don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, I asked Khalil and Rob. You probably know more about it, Brandon, than I do. But I'm not disrespecting Deion Sanders as a coach because obviously back-to-back SWAC titles. First time Jackson State's been undefeated in school history. I'm not really questioning him at all. I just have the question, is he actually coaching? Like, is he like... Does he have his pulse on the offense? Does he have his pulse on the defense? Or is he just like a leader of men type of role? Do you know that, Brennan, off the top of your head?
I do not. I do know his Jackson State staff was actually pretty impressive. He had I think he had like Mike Zimmer like working as like an analyst or something like that on that staff. Like if you looked at his staff, he had like all kinds of you're like, whoa, he's over there? That's crazy. I'll be honest with you, I would assume if anything, he's a defensive guy, more of a defensive backs guy, more specifically probably. Although Saban has a pretty good understanding of defense as a whole, but he's very involved in the defensive backs because that's Saban's background. So, I actually do have questions about how good a coach he actually is. And not that I'm saying he's a bad coach. I just don't know how good a coach he is.
That was also my main concern as well, but you can keep going.
Yeah, like I'm not taking away what he did at Jackson State. Because my question is, he basically had a lot of like Power 5 and G5 talent on that team. I'll be honest, I didn't watch any of their games, so I can't tell you how much talent he had.
Well, we actually watched the SWAC title at Twin Peaks, and they blew out Southern like handily.
Oh yeah, they did. He out here like mopping people.
Mm-hmm.
But look, no offense to HBCUs and anything like that, but the talent, a lot of the talent that he had on that roster is just far superior. Like they're bigger, faster, stronger, and just more talented than a lot of dudes on HBCUs. That's just what it is. It's anytime you get when Georgia has to come play like Georgia State or whatever like that, like that's a money game because like the Georgia's like third and fourth string dudes are like bigger and better than their first string. It's just what it is. So like, is he winning? Did he have all that success at Jackson State because he just had far superior talent, or how much of it was coaching? I don't really know. I will find out now, I guess, at Colorado. But I have a bit of a hot take for you on this issue here on Deion. I don't know if any of you will agree with me. Clayton, I know Khalil doesn't know, but Clayton, do you remember or are you aware that Colorado was once a dominant program in college football?
Define dominant.
They were a dominant program in the 80s and the 90s, particularly the early 90s, right alongside Miami. And in fact, in 1990, they shared the national title.
I don't remember that. I do remember a lot of old school highlights of Colorado. I didn't realize they were always that good.
They were. Look, I wouldn't say they weren't on the level. Certainly not the level of Miami.
I do want to say real quick because we talked about it yesterday. He's following in Mel Tucker's footsteps. And also, Mel Tucker, when he was there, they had a winning season for the first time, a decent winning season. I think they were ranked for the first time in a long time. That's when Laviska Schultz Jr. I might be saying that name wrong, but I think he's on the Jaguars now. That's when he was like one of the top wide receivers in the draft.
Yeah, they actually are. They have a history of being a dominant program at one time. Also, quick sidebar, shout out to them because they are the first Power 5 program to hire 3 consecutive black coaches.
Oh, all right. Solid.
Yeah. They've hired 4 in their program's existence, which I believe is also the most.
The hot take.
My hot take on this is with the 12 teams expansion here, and
I can already see it. I can already see where this is going.
And the transfer portal being what it is, and NIL, I think Deion can make Colorado a playoff contender within 5 years.
Oh, well, you're giving him 5 years. He may not stick around for 5 years. I mean, I'm not praying on Deion's downfall, but God forbid he fucking is out there and is an ass coach in the P5.
I'll give him 3, actually. I think he can do it.
3 seasons, and he will be a playoff team.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Particularly because that third season would be when the second season would be when the 12-team playoff starts. But look, from what's said already, he's got. I don't know if you've seen this. He's got what's it called? Are you familiar with the Winston Watkins?
Say that again?
Winston Watkins, are you familiar with him?
No, I am not.
He's a 2025 recruit out of IMG. He is the cousin of Sammy Watkins, the number 1 wide receiver in that class. He already committed to Colorado.
Wow. Okay.
And by Shador Sanders is obviously his son. is going there with him. It's widely expected that Travis Hunter is going to follow him as well. I'm not sure. Do you remember Trey Sanders?
That I do.
Running
There's
back.
no shot. No shot. Trey Sanders is going to Colorado.
Trey Sanders tweeted at Deion Sanders, "Do you have any room for me, Unc?"
Oh, my God. The number one running back in the 2019 class, correct?
I think it was 2020.
2020 class. Number one running back in the 2020 class going to Colorado. Ay. I mean, sorry,
look,
you can keep going.
I read a tweet from Josh Newberg. If you follow recruiting, he used to be a 247 reporter for the Seminoles. I believe he just works like national recruiting for like On3 or something like that now. So he works for somebody else. I think he does like national recruiting though. I saw a tweet literally before we came on. He said that a source in the Colorado program told him that in basically 24 hours, over 200 kids in the portal and recruits have already reached out to Deion and his staff and the program.
Yeah.
And many of them are 4- and 5-star recruits.
Wow. Well, I mean, Khalil just put this in the chat right now. I don't know if you saw it while you were on the phone, but he just sent us a tweet saying Deion made it clear to the Colorado players that he's bringing his own luggage with him, and quote unquote, and it's Louis, so they better take a look at the transfer portal. So he's already fucking putting his mark. He's already putting his mark on the program. I'll get to you guys. And do you want to play it? Oh, okay. Go ahead, play it. We got Rob's gonna play it off the computer right now. So go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, because I'm bringing my luggage with me, and it's Louis. I'm coming. It ain't gonna be no more of a mess that these wonderful fans, the student body, and some of your parents have put up with for probably 2 decades now. I'm coming. And when I get here, it's gonna be changed. So I want y'all to get ready to go ahead and jump in that portal and do whatever you're gonna get. The more you jump in, the more room you make. Because we bring kids that are smart, say that, smart, tough.
That's 2 days. 2 days.
Yo,
2 days. He's been there. 2
I'm not gonna
days.
hold you. Listen.
Oh,
Y'all
my
laughing.
God.
Y'all laughing at the part where he told him to hop in the portal. That's not the funniest part about that video. The funniest part about that video is after he told them boys to hop in the portal and is telling them like, "Yo, who I'm a bringing guys that." He's like, "You know what? I'm gonna bring guys, but wait, you know what? Y'all say it with me. All y'all who not good enough to play here, all y'all say it with me. Who I'm bringing in? I'm bringing in guys who are smart, tough." That shit was hilarious. I was like, "Oh my god."
Oh, God.
Like, now look, to be fair to Deion, because I know there might be some people out there who like, "Oh, Deion, you got to do him like that. Like, that's kind of disrespectful and all that stuff." Look, maybe it is. But guess what? Colorado has probably been the worst program in the Power 5 for the last, 3 years. They have won 5 games in the last 3 years.
That is the truth.
So,
Like, you can't get any worse. You would hope.
I think they'll be fine, but yeah.
I don't even think Vandy's been that bad.
I mean, Vandy's SEC championship winners. I mean, I don't know what you're saying.
You're right.
I mean, we don't really know how. I don't want to disrespect the HBCU. I really don't. But these are kids that are, like Brandon said, they're not Power 5. Some of the kids are not Power
They're not
5.
even G5, Clayton.
Yeah,
G5 kids are better.
So, when you have that type of stature in your program, when you have that type of stature,
right, program.
you look up to that. You buy into that. That I completely understand, and that I personally think that's why Jackson State was so good, is because they believed in it.
In college, that's all you need is for players to buy in. That's all you need.
I mean, we see it with Jimbo Fisher, but I digress.
Bad orange around.
That's what I tried to tell him yesterday.
All you need.
That's what I tried to tell him yesterday.
Will the buy-in transfer over to kids? I mean, yeah, Colorado, but it's still a Power 5 school. Will it transfer over to kids that have already been handed a silver platter. They have recruits. They've had interviews. They've had all this. These kids at the HBCU, they don't really get all that until Deion got there. You get what I'm saying? And I'm not like I said, I'm not trying to disrespect them, but it is a different ball game in the P5. I do not.
He knows that though. I don't think he doesn't know.
No. I'm not saying that he doesn't know that, but I just want to see if his same tactics would work in Colorado rather than where they worked at Jackson State. Like Brandon's your brother-in-law, I guess, like he said, him staying at Jackson State, I think it was fantastic. I wasn't there for the podcast, but he was great for HBCU. Great. And you saw that on the field. You saw that everywhere. We have never seen enough social media on HBCUs until Deion finally got to that school. Finally. And now he's going to go over to Colorado. No disrespect to Jackson State, we may never even talk about Jackson State in the same breath ever again. So I just want to see if they will still buy into what he's saying and the things that he does. And I'm not going to say he's going to be ass. I'm not saying he's going to be great. I want to see it happen first. That's all I'm saying.
I'm going to tell you the biggest thing with Deion and what you're going to see. You're going to really see – this is like his first actual test of what kind of coach he is. And it doesn't matter – what kind of it doesn't matter. Like, I'm not talking about, he doesn't have to be a guy who, like, you know, is like a defensive genius or an offensive genius or shit. Like, if he's just like the leader of men, rah, give him a speech, go out there, and that's his thing, that's fine. But, like, we're going to see how good a coach he actually is and how effective he can be because, look, he's got Colorado, and yeah, it'll take, like, the portal will probably help flip that roster a lot faster than normal, and he'll probably be able to recruit well. But look, the Pac-12, he's still got Oregon in there. He's got USC in there at least until 2025. So at least next year and the year after for the next 2 years. UCLA
don't forget about Utah too, man. Utah's a tough
I was
team.
going to get there. Utah as well. Like Utah back-to-back Pac-12 championships. Washington's a good program too. Like there's a lot of competition there. And like some of these schools, like look, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know. And maybe this might be for another episode. Maybe we have Colin on and he lives out there, so maybe he can have better insight. I really think USC moving over to the Big Ten was a terrible move. I think it'd be really, really difficult. I know they're going to get the money, but there's no, like, you're playing all your games. You're going over there. So you're going to be asking kids in Southern California, that's their recruiting base, which is a very rich and talented recruiting base, trying to get them to go over there and play 6 games a year or whatever it is, half their games, you know, in Michigan, in Penn State, in Ohio State, in that cold snow weather, in the dead of winter, out in the sunshine. Well, okay, like that's cool, and forget the fact that those teams are probably probably better than USC, at least Ohio State and Michigan are. You're asking, I could be Oregon, like if Oregon's going with them, but at least Oregon's a little colder. You know what I'm saying? Like those kids that go from USC to Oregon, California to Oregon, like it's kind of colder there anyway. Like they know what that is. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And actually, no, Oregon is not going with them. They're not going to the Big Ten, at least not yet.
They're not.
So
UCLA.
Yeah, like you could say if you're Oregon, like Oregon's a great program. I think Dan Lanning's doing a fine job over there. I could stay over there, stay in the Pac-12, or I could go, go to Utah. I could go, stay close to home. And it's just, I don't know that. And then now you have Colorado in the Pac-12 with Deion Sanders. You know he's going straight into California, and he gonna cut into some of them kids too. So I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how it happens. And a lot of the things he does, like I don't know what kind of coach he is, obviously. But for example, as I was telling Robert, that video that you just played, you would never see some shit like that out of Nick Saban. You think Nick Saban's never told his kids some shit like that? Of course he has. He's probably told them worse. You think Kirby Smart's never told, giving his kids some kind of similar speech? Of course he has. Hell, right now at Miami, I'm sure Mario Cristobal at least from my understanding, what's going on in Miami right now, they're probably about to see a whole bunch of kids enter the portal tomorrow. Because basically, Mario Cristobal and his staff message to these guys is, bro, y'all not good enough. Y'all don't belong here. Y'all, you 5'10" linebackers, beat it. You know, you safeties or corners that can't cover, beat it. Like, you're not good enough. You don't either you don't look the part, or you're not willing to work hard enough, or you don't want enough, whatever it is, get out of here. Like, these coaches tell kids, you know, raw truths like that a lot. It happens. I've done it to my kids too when I coach.
Shocker.
But you don't record. Yes, I have. I'm a good coach. What you want? I ain't gonna lie to you. You want me to tell you that you good and you suck? I'm not telling you that. That's a lie. Let your parents tell you that, not me. Let you go home and let your parents tell you how you played good, Timmy. Well, you sat there on the bench the whole damn time. You was a really good water boy,
Brandon.
Timmy. You did great. Anyway,
the kids at Twin Peaks.
I digress. I digress. Yeah, doing that kind of stuff. How will it go well? It's gonna go over well. I'm sure it's fine when you're at like Jackson State and you're 26-5 in whatever 2 or 3 years. He was over there, but you know, is that gonna go over well with these dudes if you go 8-4? If you go 7-5?
I mean, anything is better than what you're doing right now. I would assume so. Well,
look, I get it. Like the first maybe year or two, that might not be an issue because at that point, you know how it is, Clayton. That's like the honeymoon period. Like you can't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But even like after that, once we get past that, we're in year 3, we're in year 4, assuming he stays that long, and and it doesn't even matter whether it's at Colorado or he even maybe in 2 years he leaves and goes somewhere else to a bigger program. At some point in time, Deion Sanders coaching at this level, like doing those kinds of things where he's recording his speeches. He's done it. You see it every game, pregame or postgame, like every Saturday. You've seen some video of what Deion Sanders is telling his kids in this locker room. So like if we're talking about Colorado, like how will that go over if in year 3, you know, they have a blue chip ratio, which is basically measures how many 4 and 5 star recruits you have on your team, a blue chip ratio like in the top 15, and you get stomped out by I don't know, fucking Washington at home. Like how's that gonna go? And you fall to like and you fall to 3 and 5 after getting stomped out. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like how is that gonna go over when things aren't going well? So, you know, we'll kind of see. And that might be one of my biggest concerns is because while I don't have any issue with Deion leaving Jackson State or really anything Deion's doing, even the videos, my biggest concern is, look, I think it's pretty obvious. Deion's here for himself. Like Deion, he records those videos about him. That's not about anybody else but Deion Sanders. Can we agree about that?
Yeah, I mean, I mean, you know the quote, Rob. What does he always say? What Deion always say? Deion's here for Deion.
Oh, yeah, Deion's here for Deion. Deion's about Deion.
Yeah, there you go. Real quick, thank you, Brandon. But Khalil, do you have anything to say about Deion going to Colorado before we move on?
I will be watching, not all of them, but at least half of the Colorado games.
Are you sure? Because those are 10 o'clock games. Go on.
Yes.
10 at night?
Yes.
I ain't got nothing else to do. Shit.
I mean, we seen him fucking watch Formula One at the club, so we're fine.
That is true.
Commitment.
You?
I just want to say, it kind of messed up to tell somebody you've been a disappointment to your parents.
He didn't say that.
He said that in the speech.
He didn't say
Nah,
that.
he did. He said some of your parents.
You've been disappointed. The fans don't deserve this. Your parents don't deserve this.
He did say that. That doesn't necessarily mean disappointment. That doesn't necessarily.
The parents are the fans. They in the stands watching your son get his ass beat. I mean, you know, it is what it is.
Look. All I'm gonna say, I don't know. Maybe Clayton hasn't seen this too much because Georgia's been pretty good, but I know I've seen a lot of it as a Miami fan on Twitter. Some of them parents think the kids should be playing a little better too. I'm just saying.
All right.
You know.
So, is everyone good with college? Everyone's good? Yeah? All right. Let's move on to the NFL. Like I said, the Steelers beat the Falcons 19-16. Kenny Pickett, 197 yards, 1 touchdown. Nothing crazy. Marcus Mariota, another 100-yard day, 167 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Nothing coming out of this game. That game was kind of ass.
Can we stop reading Marcus Mariota's stat line?
You know what? Yeah, that's fine. I'll say yes. Green Bay Packers beat the Chicago Bears 28-19. Aaron Rodgers having 182 yards, 1 touchdown. A.J. Dillon having 93 yards on the ground and a touchdown. Christian Watson also caught a touchdown and ran for a touchdown. If I'm not mistaken, I want to say he's had 8 touchdowns in his last 4 games. I believe
you're. Also, I would just like to petition. Look, you know what? New rule. If you don't throw for 200 yards, we will not be reading your stats.
108.
Fair?
That'll be the shortest NFL.
That's not
Nah, the way the NFL is going this year, I mean, we kind of have to.
No. We don't. No. We don't have to.
All right.
Okay? Because we can look. Y'all want to be out here throwing for 182 yards? That's fine. Go ahead. But you're not going to get any recognition from us. Let Phil Simms tell you how great you are, or Chris Simms. Let Chris Simms tell you.
I mean, I usually talk about the quarterback because he's always the one that has the ball in his hand, you know. And then whoever has a decent game, you know, I gotta give a plug, you know.
Let's think about this logically. The reason why we read all these stats for fantasy football. If your quarterback is Aaron Rodgers and he threw for 182 yards, does that matter to you? No.
And
you probably lost anyway.
And
you probably lost anyway. Doesn't matter. You probably lost anyway. The 182 yards is probably worth like 7 points. And all right, he threw for the touchdown. That's 4. 11 points from your quarterback. Not getting
That's 5.
And then if Aaron Rodgers is your fantasy quarterback, if Aaron Rodgers is your fantasy quarterback at this point of the season, you're probably in last place anyway. So like it doesn't matter.
Where did that go? All right. Well, someone who did throw over 200 yards, Justin Fields, 254 yards, but he had 2 interceptions.
There we go.
2 interceptions though.
He had like. He did have like 8.
He had 71 yards on the ground and 1 touchdown. One of those touchdown runs being a 55-yard run, which seems like he has a 50-plus yard quarterback run every other week. So, but nothing coming out of this game. You know, I don't even think they're fighting for a playoff spot. The Lions and the Jaguars. The Lions absolutely demolished the Jaguars, 40-14. Jared Goff having 340 yards and 2 touchdowns. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 114 yards and 2 touchdowns receiving. Christian Kirk had 6 receptions for 104 yards. The only reason I'm going to talk about Trevor Lawrence, he didn't throw for over 200, but he came out of this game with either a knee or an ankle injury, and I don't think it was ankle?
Yes.
Okay. And he went back in the game.
He went back in?
He threw a touch.
Did you see the clip?
I did.
I thought he broke that shit.
We're going to get there to breaking ankles, but he threw a touchdown pass to Evan Ingram in the 3rd quarter, and he was walking out when the Lions were still on the field to start the 3rd. He was the last one to come out of the tunnel by like 5 minutes. So, but
I will say, I'm very disappointed in you, Clayton.
What'd I do?
You did not read that Jamal Williams got a touchdown. I know
Jamal Williams did get a touchdown. I mean, he's not here in the thing, though. But Jamal Williams did get a touchdown, and he is the league leader in touchdowns with 13.
Who cares Nobody cares about that. He has 14 touchdowns on the year,
14.
Which just so happens to be the same amount of touchdowns that the Broncos offense has generated. Thank you very much. You can go ahead and talk about that.
We'll get there. The Vikings beat the Jets 27-22. The Vikings did everything in their power to lose this game, but the Jets just fought harder to lose. Mike White, 369 yards and 2 interceptions. Garrett Wilson having 8 receptions for 162 yards. Kirk Cousins didn't throw over 200. Justin Jefferson he had a decent game. No, never mind. He caught a touchdown. Dalvin Cook, 86 yards on the ground and a touchdown. This game went all the way down to the wire. The Jets were on the 1-yard line, 2-yard line, and they just could not punch it in against the Vikings. And then they ended up coming down the field, ended up being inside their own 10, and then Mike White threw an interception on 4th down. So, but are the Jets a good team?
No.
Listen.
Defensively, yes.
Defensively.
The rest of
but with Mike White, I mean, he's throwing better stats out there than Zach Wilson was.
Damn, there was
Well,
a stat.
their problem is that at least today, as me and Robert were on the phone, Robert and I were on the phone for most of this game. God rest his soul. Tony Sperano was out here having a field day watching this game. He was loving field goals, baby. I saw them boys get into the red zone probably like 3 or 4 times, and they not even the red zone. Like they got like inside the 5, inside the 10, field goal every time.
The reason I ask is because there are 3 AFC East teams in the playoff race right now. The Patriots are quote unquote in the hunt. The only other division that has, most of their teams in the playoff race is the fucking NFC East with all. If it's playoff started right now, the NFC East has all 4 playoff teams. The AFC has 3. I'm just asking the question. They have 7 wins. And they almost beat the 2-loss Vikings. I mean, you posed the question. That's all I'm saying. I understand that they're in the same division, but I don't know what to do with Mike White. I don't know what to do with him. He's
better than Zach Wilson.
He is better than Zach Wilson. But do you just keep riding him? Because at this point, well, no. Hold on. I was gonna say, do you keep riding him into next year? Because the way they're playing right now. They're not they don't have a top spot to pick a QB. So do you draft a QB again next year? And then let Zach Wilson ride the bench again?
No. They need to draft one, but they probably need to draft one in like the 3rd to 5th round. I don't know what pick they got or how many of each they got, but they probably need to take one in that range and, kind of develop him. Maybe he's like a Dak Prescott or something. But yeah, next year they need to go. They need to go see if they could trade for like Derek Carr or Jimmy G or something. Because Mac, their team's actually like everything else but the quarterback is good enough to. I wouldn't say maybe necessarily like put them as like Super Bowl favorites or anything like that, but they're definitely good enough to. They're definitely a playoff team and definitely good enough to be like, you know what? Hey, maybe they can make a run like the Bengals if their quarterback was better.
All right. Well, we have another tie, so that's always fun. The Commanders and the Giants tied. Taylor Heineke throwing for 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. Brian Robinson on the ground, 96 yards. Terry McLaurin having 105 yards and 1 touchdown. Vanilla Vic having 200 yards passing, just beat the cutoff by Brandon's measures and 1 touchdown. Also had 71 yards on the ground. Both teams just Taylor. I think they've won their last 5 games. The Commanders, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong about that. Maybe like 5 of the last 6 or something. But like I said, the NFC East is tough. All 4 teams are about to make the playoffs if everything stands still. But it is what it is. The Eagles beat the Titans 35-10. Jalen Hurts, 380 yards, 4 total touchdowns, 3 passing, 1 on the ground. A.J. Brown having a revenge game, 119 yards receiving, along with 2 touchdowns. Kept Derrick Henry in check. Didn't even pass fucking 30 yards rushing. Couple things I want to say this. Jordan Davis came back. Excited about that. He came out and then he went back in again, so thank God. Nakobe Dean finally got playing time and led the team in tackles, only playing an entire quarter. Led the team in tackles playing an entire quarter. Also, Jalen Hurts got taken out at the start of the 4th quarter. No, 9 minutes left in the 4th quarter. So they kind of, called it by that point as well. Nothing really else coming out of that game. We have the Ravens beating the Broncos 10-9, and going by Brandon's measures, I can't talk about anything in this game other than they had a 95-yard drive to win the fucking game. Russell Wilson doesn't even have as many touchdowns as he has fucking toilets in his house. There's 12 toilets in his house. He has 8 touchdowns on the year. What are we doing?
Is that real?
That is real, Brandon. If you go on TikTok, there's a kid that talks about it every single week. Like he has a whole recap. But whatever. Again, I don't know what to do with the Broncos. They're fucking 3-9. Whatever. We'll just keep it moving. Oh, prayers up to Lamar Jackson. Came out of this game with an injury on his knee. He went to the locker room. I don't know if he got carted or if he walked or whatever. But hopefully nothing seriously happening with him because, as you could tell, very key component to the Baltimore Ravens.
Quiet 8-4.
They are 8-4.
Yeah. And that's what
There's a
some.
lot of sneaky teams.
Call
in the
it
picture.
quiet. I think it's more like they're lucky to be 8-4, but like
Well, here's the thing, though. I mean,
a blessed 8-4.
Couldn't
their
they?
defense
No.
wasn't so bad, they would probably only have like 2 losses on the season. Like if you watch their games, they hold it down like throughout the entirety of the game, and then like their defense just lets them down. Like
They've blown like 3 leads this year.
Yeah, when Brandon came over last week before you guys came over, we were talking about how just shitty Marcus Peters is playing this year. Like it is atrocious on where he was at one point, and now this year he's just bad. And I'll get to another guy because he's coming, and Monday's not going to be happy about that because, oh, my God, he looked bad today. And he looked bad last week, too, but we'll get there in a second. We have the Browns beating the Texans 27-14.
nope.
Kyle Allen had 201 yards and a touchdown.
Okay, we'll leave it at that.
But all the touchdowns for the Browns came off either a punt return, a fumble return, and a 16-yard interception for a touchdown. Nothing on the offensive side of the ball. So just want to keep it moving.
It didn't matter even if it did happen.
Yep.
He who shall not be named could have threw for 600 fucking yards. His name will not be mentioned on this podcast. No thanks.
We have the this is the game that I wanted to talk about. The Seahawks beat the Rams 27-23 on a Geno Smith 8-yard pass to DK Metcalf. Geno Smith 367 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Tyler Lockett having 128 yards receiving and 1 touchdown. This is the question at hand. I don't know if you guys watch this game.
Hold on. I saw that touchdown too. I was like,
this is. I'll get there in a second. The Rams, Ramsey and Bobby Wagner had a little, I guess, tiffy or something. I don't know if they were trying to psych each other up or something, but players were around them and they were yelling and screaming at each other, but they weren't really like getting in each other's faces or whatever. And then 5 plays later, you went to the Seattle sideline. Seattle had a whole team huddle, and they were jumping and getting like this game was a grimy ass fucking game. DK and Jalen were getting after it, play after play. Bobby Wagner was getting into it, play after play. Everyone was just chirping it up after every possession, but I need to pose the question, and I'm sorry to even pose this question. Is Jalen Ramsey still a good corner? Because I saw what Travis Kelce did to him last week. I've seen what DK has done to him a couple times.
you can actually go back to the Super Bowl because that last play of the game, Jamar Chase was butt naked. Open. So, I mean.
I'm not trying to disrespect him. But is he still a good cornerback in the game of football?
I do think he is still a good cornerback.
Top 5?
No.
Okay.
Top 10.
Okay, well.
And
Whoa. You can name me 5 cornerbacks better than him right now.
Terrible with names.
Just give me the team. I'll do it for you.
Dolphins.
I mean,
Not
statistically
this year,
speaking,
buddy.
Sauce Gardner is better than him.
Xavier Howard is better than James Red.
Not this year. Have you seen Xavier Howard this year? Now look, hold on. Wait, hold on.
I'll give you 3 right off the bat because I saw the stat today. Darius Slay, Tariq Woolen, and James Bradbury have the lowest passer ratings in the NFL.
That's fine.
So
I'm not gonna argue. They're playing well. Who else you got?
Sauce Gardner.
Sauce. Thank you. Sauce.
Oh no! He talked about Sauce. Remember him?
Okay.
Remember?
And that's fine.
I was there.
Fine. You think Sauce is overrated? That's fine. That's your business. He is better than Jalen Ramsey.
No, he's not.
Excuse me?
Statistically, he is.
I'm not going for it. Well, look, it wouldn't be statistically if they actually counted the pass interference calls. You should get called on them, but nobody calls them. But I'm leaving it alone.
Okay, we can play
I'm
the
leaving it alone.
hypotheticals all day
I'm
if
leaving
we
it
want
alone.
to.
All right, y'all see. Y'all will see. You will see.
All right.
Oh, I do see it. I see DK wide open.
Sometimes you just got to see some things through. That's all. It don't look good right now. It'll get there.
They're 3-9.
Who?
The Rams.
Oh no, Jalen needs to get off this team. This team is trash. Oh, Bobby Wagner, Dolphins. Hey.
Yes. Yes, I would do that.
Also, Matthew Stafford went on IR. I know that's something to talk about. Cooper Kupp's out. Aaron Donald's out. Fucking the whole team, it feels like they're out. But whatever, we'll keep it moving. The Raiders beat the Chargers 27-20. We have Justin Herbert, 335 yards, 1 touchdown. Keenan Allen finally doing something, 88 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams. God, the Raiders went on an offensive tear. Derek Carr, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, 144 yards, 1 touchdown. Devontae Adams, 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. The Raiders, 5-7.
Oh, don't you dare. Don't you dare.
Nothing really to talk about this game. The Chargers are still quote unquote in the hunt with the Patriots, but I mean, do what you want with the Raiders. We have the Bengals beating the Chiefs. Talk about another fucking grimy ass game. I feel like every defensive play this game was a blitz. It felt like they were trying to get after the quarterback every single time. You saw Jamar Chase's fucking celebration, right? Throwing money on the Chiefs players. Hey. Patrick Mahomes, 223 yards, 1 touchdown. Your boy Marquez Valdez-Scantling, 2 receptions, 71 yards.
Damn.
Efficient.
Joe Burrow, 286 yards, 2 touchdowns. Samaje Perine, 106 yards and no touchdowns. Jamar Chase, 7 receptions for 97 yards. Joe Burrow, or another, I guess you can consider quiet 8-4 team. I guess you can consider Joe Burrow 3-0 versus Patrick Mahomes. Just wanna throw that out there. Doesn't really need to be talked about, but interesting to see. Final game. Got to talk about it, guys.
Here comes the pain.
The 49ers beat the Dolphins 33-17. Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, 210 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Christian McCaffrey having a decent day on the ground and in the air, over 100 yards of total offense, 66 yards rushing, 80 yards receiving, and a touchdown. Tyreek Hill, 146 yards, 1 touchdown. Tua, 295 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Just want to let it be known, Jimmy Garoppolo has already said, Kyle Shanahan has already come out and said that he broke his foot, not his ankle. I thought it was his foot. I thought it was his ankle. Coming out and saying he's out for the rest of the season completely changes the NFC West dynamic because the Seahawks are still around. Came out of the game very early. Brock Purdy comes in. I'm not going to say marches down the field. Want to say that you guys had the first play of the game was a 75-yard touchdown on a crossing route.
My guy Sherfield.
I don't know what else to say about this game, guys. You guys want to say it or?
Dolphins. Tua played like shit in the beginning, and that's what just set us back. Because when it came down to it, like there were multiple times we could have won that game, but you had the Gesicki call that got overturned, which rightfully so. He didn't catch it.
The one on his helmet at the end of the half?
No.
In the second half.
It was like I think it was like on his. No, it might have been his helmet. It was something like that, but
it was not really on his helmet. It was more like sitting on Greenlaw's arm.
Yeah.
He was like holding Greenlaw's like arm and like
the one in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the one you're talking about. Yeah. He never really had the ball.
That was the drive that would have given us the lead there. Not the first interception, but the second one where he threw it behind Tyreek.
Oh, and Tyreek popped it up in the air.
It was our first possession there. Threw a pick. That just set us back again. I think the defense did what they were supposed to do, but you can only hold up for so long if you have to be on the field for more than half the fucking game because.
You guys only possessed the ball for 13 minutes of the game, but you guys put up 17 points talking about the big play execution.
When it was working,
and meanwhile, the Niners had fucking 36 minutes of fucking possession.
It's
insane.
Our defense did exactly what they were supposed to do. It's just, like I said, you can only
I
hold up for
actually disagree
so long.
with you. I don't think the defense did a good job.
I think, okay.
I think for, personally speaking, and again, this is something else Robert and I talked about. I think their defensive game plan, at least after Jimmy G got hurt, wasn't a very good one. He basically spent 3 consecutive possessions in the first half, 0 blitzing on 75% of the downs, and they got burned every single time.
Awesome.
And you got to I personally think Josh Boyer needed to. I think he kind of gave a young quarterback, and yes, young, but he also had never. He only played in one game in his career. To that point, you gave a young quarterback with very little experience, confidence. Because if you're out here sending him a zero blitz like every time, and he's like carving you up, you're gonna feel good about yourself. You know what I'm saying? And then I also think just in general, aside from the zero blitzing, I think they played way too much man-to-man. And if you know, look, playing against man-to-man is a lot easier to deal with. The reads are cleaner and easier than against zone. So I personally think the Dolphins should have played more zone coverage. I don't really have a problem with the zero blitz. It's just I think maybe more decoys. Maybe like you show the zero and you drop out, you drop back into a zone. Throw a little more, make it a little more junky for the young player. Make him have to make reads, make him have to see the field quickly and make quick decisions. I don't think the Dolphins did that.
Two things that I just wanted to say. I'm not trying to egg it on. I do not watch Dolphin games because usually at the same time the Eagles games are going on. But I made it clear to watch this game just because you know how big it was. The second Jimmy G went down, and I have a question about that. I forgot to tell you about it in the rundown. When Jimmy G went down, I'm like, oh, Dolphins running away with this. And then
That was actually my bigger fear.
what?
When the quarterback you prepared for all week is the one that
Welcome
goes
to
down,
the Georgia Bulldogs.
That's the okay. Now what the fuck are you preparing for?
But when he went down, I was like, oh, this game's a fucking wrap. I want to know in terms of, I mean, what happened in terms of offense? Because I understand that the Niners are a good rushing team. From when I found out that Jimmy G went out, from like that moment to like the end of the second quarter, I didn't watch that game. And then I started watching it again because I was like, oh shit, what the fuck is going on? What happened in the offense today? That's what I'm concerned about.
I genuinely just think that Tua was missing the easy throws because they were wide the fuck open.
Like the Tyreek Hill one, like you said.
Tyreek was open. Waddle was open like half the fucking game, but
I think he had one catch, right?
I think he had maybe
he did.
One or
he
two.
Probably
okay.
missed. He literally, like, no exaggeration, probably missed at least like 120 yards worth of passing. Just to Jalen Waddle alone.
Hit him in the hands, but it's not one of those things where like hit him in the hands.
But he was throwing.
It was just
He was throwing high. He was throwing high the whole game. Honestly, he just didn't look comfortable. Like, look,
I think he's just feeling.
I'm not gonna sit here. I don't want to make it sound like I'm like discrediting the 49ers defense. But everything that the Dolphins have had all year. The middle of the field, the quick slant routes, the shots downfield, all that was there in this game. Tua just didn't hit them.
I do want to give credit to Mike McDaniels. I've been slowly coming around to him because going for it on 4th and 1 on your own 18, you want to talk about balls. Got a lot of them.
The thing is, the way our offense works is like we're confident we can make those. It's just Tua just has to put it in the right spot.
No, but he did. That was a beautiful. To be honest, that was a beautiful fucking play call. Just to have everyone go off to the right and Tyreek Hill is just sitting in zone. That was a beautiful play call. I'll say that. What I wanted to say was the offensive line. Teron Armstead ended up not playing, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, you're right. Tackle went out too. Yes. No.
Yes. He did not play.
He did not play.
And then at some point, we I think it was Robert Jones. One of the guards got hurt too.
Okay. Are we chalking this up to the offensive line not being? No.
No.
Straight up.
It's on Tua.
That too.
It's on Tua.
I think just Tua.
Tua's got to be better.
Yeah.
Okay.
He just has to be better. Like
because regardless of what I said about the defensive play calling and all that stuff, if Tua hits all those throws that he's been hitting all year, the Dolphins probably still. It's like a shootout, but they probably win that game. I don't know how many they had. Sam's got 33. Maybe they win that game like 30.
That was another stat. You guys didn't convert a third down the entire game. Yeah, that was another huge stat that I didn't realize.
Like I said, he was missing the passes he was supposed to make that he usually makes without any issues, but also he was just feeling the pressure. Like he had to move a lot more because of what the 49ers defense was doing to him. So, but I mean, I'm not upset about it. I know, he'll be ready for the next game. So
I have 3 more things. Look at me making a homer pod about the Dolphins.
Homer pod over.
Look at me. One, Robert, do you have anything to say before I go on my 2 questions? Because you've been kind of quiet about today's game.
You know, it was a few weeks ago. I think it was the Lions game. I saw Eric Rowe was inactive, and I was wondering why Eric Rowe was inactive. But after seeing his performance today, I totally understand why he was inactive. He don't want to tackle nobody.
He always just goes after the ball.
He just be standing there. Like, what? Like,
No,
who
I
thinks
wish he
this?
was after the ball. He was just standing there doing nothing.
Like,
They had a QB sneak, Zach Steeler. Beautiful play. Sheds the block. Stuffs Brock Purdy like a yard behind the line. Eric Rowe out here. Eric Rowe just taking in the sights of Santa Clara, California. Fucking bum.
Second thing, I'm not trying to discredit the Dolphins. They've been a very good team this year, very good talent. Do you think this humbles them, quote unquote, in a sense? Or do you think this makes them hungrier or anything like that? Because Tua this season, up until right now, has been undefeated. Those 3 losses, 3 losses, were Skylar Thompson and Teddy Bridge. So do you think...
He technically has a loss because he started the Bengals.
Well, yeah, and then what? He came out on the second?
Almost died on the field. Before
Second quarter. He didn't finish that game.
Yeah.
Undefeated, and they were undefeated in games to a finish.
Finished, yeah.
Started and
Finished, yeah. So, fuck, where was I going with that? Oh, yeah. Do you think this humbles them? Do you think, like, that this is, they're fine? Like, everyone's okay?
It's business as usual.
I think this is something they learned from because I think, they have had adversity this year. They've had to come back in a few games. They had to grind out a win against the Bills.
The crazy comeback versus the fucking Ravens.
Yeah, they had that game. They had a couple games that Lions game they won. Like the defense didn't really play that well in the first half, but they locked it down in the second. So they've had adversity, but what they really haven't dealt with, at least fully, not necessarily fully healthy, but with Tua at the helm, is a loss. Because you look back at the 3 losses they had prior as well. Tua got hurt in the Bengals game, and then the other 2 games, we prepped Teddy Bridgewater, but then he had to come out with the concussion. So we're out there with Skylar Thompson, and then we started Skylar Thompson, then he gets hurt, and now we're back to Teddy Bridgewater. So you kind of using that as your excuse or your reason to kind of dismiss those 3 games. And that is an adversity in itself, but that's not the team you anticipate having. You anticipate having Tua at the helm, you have Tyreek, you have Waddle, all that stuff. This is actually some adversity that they have not faced. They just didn't play well. Tua didn't play well. He missed a lot of throws he normally makes. And so I think this will ultimately make them better because now it's Tua, McDaniel, the team. They got to get in there this week. They got a big game Sunday night next week against the Chargers. If the pressure of, again, I don't really know why Tua didn't look comfortable. Maybe it was I don't know, we got to win this one for Mike McDaniel. He's going back to face his old boss or whatever. Well, the spotlight's it ain't going anywhere this week. You got a Sunday night game against Justin Herbert. And let's be honest, right now, it's social media. It's a lot of Tua versus Herbert. Same draft. Tua went higher. Did he go higher? Yeah, Tua went a pick higher. A lot of people talk about the talent of Justin Herbert, but Tua has more wins. Justin Herbert can't seem to get over 500 for whatever reason.
That was my next thing. Hold on. Wait, sorry. Finish your statement. I'm sorry.
So that spotlight is going to be right on you still. Tua is squarely on you this time. You got to respond. You got to play better because you're not in the playoffs yet. You still gotta win some of these. You still gotta win these games down the stretch.
And then I think we played the Bills next in Buffalo.
And then the Bills next week in Buffalo.
To play the Packers.
The Eagles fucking play the Giants, the Bears, and the Cowboys on the road.
Scary.
Anyways.
The Giants, come on now. I've seen that experiment. It's a done deal over there.
Tua came out of this game, I guess you could say, with an ankle injury, but he's expected to start next week. I think mostly they just wanted to give him an injury tag on the fumble recovery for a touchdown. But I think he's fine. I think they just wanted an
One of the
excuse to bring him
scariest
out.
things, I don't know why Tua does this, because he's not the only small quarterback in the league. He just ragdolls when he gets sacked. Like he just goes limp and just like falls over, and it's like terrifying every time he gets hit. I don't know.
This was my question. Brandon brought it up about winning. And I thought about this coming into this week. Jimmy G goes out there and just wins football games. Whether it be on the Patriots, whether it be on the Niners. We talked about it last week, that him having the same record as Steve Young, and I think 2 wins behind Joe Montana, but we necessarily never really put respect on Jimmy G's name. I personally think Jimmy G's a fucking game manager, and that's the best he's going to be. But Brandon and you guys talk about wins when it comes to a quarterback. Where do we put Jimmy G in the rankings of quarterback when he goes out there? I mean, he came out today with an ankle injury, but out for the season. Hold on.
Okay.
Where do we put Jimmy G in the echelon of quarterbacks? Super Bowl starter, Jimmy Garoppolo.
He's average. He's somewhere in the 15
I
range, somewhere there.
I was gonna say he's top 15.
Okay.
He's a game manager.
Okay.
That's what he is. He's nothing more than a game manager. But look, he, like you said, he wins games, and ultimately, is that not what matters?
That's what I was asking.
Like, who cares? Like, okay, if the 49ers had Justin Herbert, like, their quarterback's better, but
I wasn't trying to bring it to that. I was just asking. That was the general
It doesn't matter. Like, I'm using Justin Herbert because I happen to know that he doesn't have a winning record. I could say Derek Carr, but no,
he just so happens to know that.
I do know that because I see it all the time. I don't think I could use Derek Carr, but I have no idea what Derek Carr's record is. He might be a winning quarterback, and I don't know. But fine, you want to use Derek Carr, fine. If they have Derek Carr, like, and they out here got the Raiders record, like, what does it matter? Like, is Derek Carr like better than Jimmy G? Yeah, he's more talented, but like, they're 5-7, so what does it matter? With Jimmy G, they're 8-4. So,
all right,
you see what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really matter.
That's all I was asking. All right, anything you guys want to get off your chest? Oh well, I'm sorry. As of right this second, you'll hear it tomorrow. The Colts are playing the Cowboys. The Cowboys are up 21-13 at halftime. A closer game than I expected. Tomorrow we got the Saints and the Bucks. 2 pretty shitty primetime games. Anything you guys want to get off your chest about the NFL real quick before we move on to final thoughts, which turns into a segment now apparently? Nothing? No, you're good, Khalil. Rob, you're good. All right, Khalil. Final thoughts.
Shout out to the U.S. men's team for at least making it to the elimination round.
Giving him a shout out for that crap.
I mean, it was crap, but you know, it is.
Greg Berhalter got like undressed tactically. Oh my God, that was gross. He out here made, like, it was so bad that Louis van Gaal, for those of you who don't know, the manager of the Dutch national team, literally came out in his interview and said, you know, they didn't really adjust. They did what they came out there and they did. We exploited their flanks and they never made any adjustments. That's how we beat them. So yeah, come on, no. Look, the players, great for you. Not your fault that your coach sucks, but you know, heck.
I mean, it's the effort. You know, they tried. They tried, you know. What did they say? I believe that we will win. I fucking hate that. I hate it. I think you won.
Okay, we got the women next year, Clay. Bring it home, baby.
That's
2
true.
years. 2 years.
Next year, 2023.
Oh,
Summer.
yeah. All right. I'm fine with that. Anything else, Khalil?
Fight the power as always. I think that's all I got.
Brandon, final thoughts?
Yes, I just have one. We spoke about Trae Young, I believe it was. The Friday show, was it, Robert?
Yeah. I can't wait for the Thursday show. I cannot wait for the Thursday show.
I believe I also spoke about Trae Young the week before on the Sunday show. A little mention. I don't know if any of you have seen this. I don't know if any of you listeners have seen this. Apparently, Trae Young did not play in their game against Denver because he got into a argument with Nate McMillan.
I saw that.
Now,
yeah.
It It was not anything like basketball related. Apparently, Trae Young has a shoulder injury, and there was disagreement about his rehab and whether he should play or not. Nate McMillan told him, if you're going to play, you're going to come off the bench. Trae Young was not feeling that. So Nate McMillan said, you come off the bench or you don't show up at all. And Trae Young didn't show up. And, look, I'm not really going to get on him about that. You're a competitor. You want to play. I've been there. I don't blame him for that. However, a report following that news came out. Apparently, some key executives in the Hawks organization believe that Trae Young needs to be a, quote, more productive and positive face of the franchise.
Say it for me. Go ahead.
I have no clue what you want me to say.
It starts with a W.
Huh?
It starts with a W.
Winnie Hut Jr.?
Wolf.
Oh, I guess so. I don't know what the hell is going on. It's also the Atlanta Hawks. Like, what are we really expecting?
Trae Young, nice talent, fantastic player. Not necessarily a winning player.
Jimmy G.
Just saying.
Are you good on final thoughts, Brandon?
That's all I had.
Okay. It'll be Monday, December 5th, and your Georgia Bulldogs, for the time being, are still your national champions. That was the first time in a long time that you've ever hit that fucking button. There was something else that I want. Oh, shout out to Jordan Davis coming back. I'm happy. Shout out to Nakobe Dean playing well. Another shout out to your boy, Mr. Glassbones himself. 55 points, 17 rebounds, and a blowout win versus the fucking Wizards. Slowly coming around.
I think he put up like 45 against the Bucks a couple nights.
He's been putting up like decent numbers the last week.
Actually, yeah, I think I saw a stat like the last 10 games he's been putting up at least 25 points.
Like I told you, sometimes you don't see it at first, but sometimes you just gotta see it through.
For 3 years,
He's gonna roll his ankle in a couple.
Slow
days.
development. Hey, don't put that. I rebuke that. Don't put that out there in the world. Get out of here.
All right, Rob. Final thoughts.
I have one more thing. One more thing. Since we out here praising Anthony Davis, but we're not giving love to Bam Adebayo.
Oh, I was just doing it for Rob's sake. I know what he's.
I mean, Bam has been phenomenal. I think this might be what we've been waiting for, and yet, like Robert just said, like shout out Pastor Lash said in his sermon today. Yes, sometimes you just don't give up. Don't let go. You don't let go. All right. I saw y'all. I know who y'all are out there on Heat Twitter. Out here shaming my dog. Letting them have it.
Calling him Edris.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, I know who all y'all are. Y'all gave up, but not me. I didn't. And I'm seeing the fruits of my perseverance right now. Can I get an amen, Robert?
Amen.
All right. Thank you. That's all.
Rob, please close this fucking show out. Rob.
I'm trying. I really am. Oh, yo, Brandon, that was great, bro. That was great. That was a great line. Holding the fort down. All right. This has been the latest and greatest episode from the Scorekeepers podcast. We will see y'all on Friday. We out.